Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. So for today's project, I've got another folio. I know how you guys love those, and this is really going to be an excellent stash buster. We're going to get through a lot of your pattern papers with this. So this is a really easy to create folio, and it has an accordion spine. So that means that this little base is going to be so versatile and perfect for all of the projects that you want to make. You can just easily change out the collection to match whatever you would like to make. For this one, I am using a new die. It has a corner pocket so that you can include many inserts very easily. And then I'm also going to be using my Honey and Bees frames die from my shop. So this was a lot of fun to create. And I'm also going to show you how you can create a similar look, but without having that die. So if that sounds good to you, then stick with me and we'll make it together. Okay, before we get started with that tutorial, I just wanted to very quickly share with you the images that I'm going to use. This is the Honey and Bees frames collage. They're super easy to cut out, and there are 9 different images on this collage sheet. For today's project, we're going to use 7 of them. And here is the slot corner pocket die. I picked this up from Amazon. For the project that we're sharing today, I will be using this. I will also show you an alternative if you don't want to pick up the die, but quite honestly, I love this already. This is my first project to use, and my mind's already turning on different projects that I can incorporate this die into. So I'm definitely going to advise you, if you're going to get a pocket die, this is one you should consider. It has a beautiful scalloped edge, and there will be 3 pockets for this. And it does come with those score lines, so it will be easy to add the pockets to your pages. And then remember, we're also going to show you the alternative. So if you don't want to get the die, you'll still be able to create this project. To start on the base, I will recommend that you go right to the colorful cardstock rather than making a base with white and then adding it as a layer, simply because you want to control the amount of bulk that you add so that it will work properly. And so black will match my project today. To coordinate with the images that I printed, I pulled papers from my stash that were all graphic 45, and they're all 8x8 pattern papers. And so I'm just coordinating this black cardstock. My first piece is 6 inches high by 12 inches wide, and I scored that along the whole width in 1-inch increments all the way down. And then when I added the adhesive, I skipped the first section, and then I added that to the next, and then skipped each portion so that when my accordion folds up, I'll be able to include my page pieces to this adhesive. I also have 5 pieces of that same cardstock that is 6x6. And then I also have 2 pieces that are 6 high by 12 wide and scored at 6. These will be our front and back cover. That will help to bulk up that cover and make it more sturdy. And then the last piece I have is 6 high by 3 wide. I scored it at 1 inch and also 2 inches. So this is going to be what we use to wrap around the spine. I do recommend going ahead to add all of your adhesive before you get started, but pull only one portion as you work along so that you don't have things sticking together that you don't intend to. So you want to go ahead and pull that adhesive from your first section. And once again, this is really an important place to go with your 2 glue combo, because you want these pages to be very secured. So just run a line of that along, being careful not to go too close to the edge so that it doesn't splooge out and stick things together. So then you want to come in with the 5 6x6 pages and just set that into place. along the bottom and the score line, and make sure that you give good pressure so that you get a good adhesion. Now come along and just fold that over. The double-sided tape will hold that in place while the glue sets up, and you would just continue that process as you work your way down. So the next thing you want to do is add the front and back cover. I am pulling only one side of that adhesive at a time, and I'm going to continue to utilize that second glue as I work along. Then I want to line up this portion along that score line, keeping it straight against the top and bottom. Then I'll flip that over. Add just a little bit more of my adhesive here. Add the piece for the spine along the back, bringing those score lines together. And then closing in that portion by bringing the back flap over onto it. So let's go ahead and repeat that process for the other side as well. You want to make sure to take note that I haven't put any adhesive along the actual spine here. This accordion section will be free floating in the back, which will work great, but probably be difficult to get pictures of. But that's okay, because this is a really easy and fun way to make a quick base. This is also going to be super versatile. You can simply change out your color cardstock to whatever theme or holiday or occasion that you like. So the last thing for the base is to add that back page over, and that's going to seal up your spine. And then you'll have all of your pages ready to add your pattern paper. At the moment, it may not look like it's going to be super chunky and sturdy, but I just wanted to share with you the bulk of the layers that we're putting inside. This is why it makes such a great Stashbuster, because y'all, we're gonna go through the paper today. And so this is going to definitely be very sturdy and chunky. Our first set of pages on the inside is going to be 2 full-size pages. And then as we work along, we're going to have that portion that connects that accordion. This is going to be a choice when you begin to finish your album, whether or not you want to include some kind of pattern paper there. I did go back and forth on that quite a lot, but I decided to leave it with just the cardstock because I wanted to make sure not to add too much bulk to this accordion portion so that it would fold correctly. So let's go ahead and get started finishing the album. Okay, like I mentioned, my first set of pages is going to be both full-size sheets. So the pattern paper for all the full-size pages is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, and that's just going to give us that nice border of the cardstock around, and that will finish this side. This is the only page that is going to fold a little bit funny. You're going to have to support it here to get that fold, but the next thing I wanted to do was add my second paper here, and before I add that, I want to include my pocket. So here is that pocket for this side. As you can see, it has that pretty scalloped edge and the slots for the inserts to go. Because this is graphic 45 paper, when I scored it and folded it, it did crack and the white core showed. So I just took my distress ink for the yellows. I used Wild Honey, and I just covered up that edge. And so I have also included my double-sided tape here, and I'll just place the corners together and fold that flap around. So that was pre-scored by that die, and that makes it very easy to get that position correctly. And now you can see that we'll have our slots for our inserts. I'll go ahead and remove the additional backing here, and then this is going to be another place that you'll want to add that extra adhesive because that thickness of that pocket. So just go ahead and go around. So on this set of pages, I'm sharing the version that has the die, and you'll see how that looks when we add it to the book. I'm going to maintain those pages with the border. A little difficult to see the black pattern on the black cardstock, but just take your time and get that positioned exactly where you want it. Make sure you get a good pressure so that the double-sided adhesive will hold the wet adhesive in place until it sets up. So this is the version with the die. I did want to also share an alternate version so that if you don't pick up the die, you'll still be able to include a portion of this pocket. And so this is just going to be another corner pocket. I decided that I wanted it to be a 4-inch square. And so I measured my paper out to be 4.5 by 4.5. Then I came in and scored it 1/2 inch in, turned it another 1/2 inch in, and then I clipped that corner off so that it would reduce the bulk. Now I would adhere this exactly as I did the other with the die. And then cut a pattern paper that coordinates to be 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And so you're still going to get a pocket on the outside, and so you'll be able to make this version of the folio if you don't have the die. But I just wanted to show you both ways because I know some people like to see different variations so that you'll know there's alternatives. And so I'm just going to continue to work along. So the first set did have 2 full-size pages. Once we move to the next set, we've got that accordion portion showing. So that's going to change our measurement. On all of the left-hand side pages, it's 5 7/8 by 4 7/8 because this portion is 5 inches wide with that 1-inch accordion section. So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn that toward myself so that it will be easier to get get that lined up along the longest portion. And then I have my page for this side. I'll just go ahead and repeat that process. So as you can see, I pulled the yellow and black patterns from my stash, and I'm just alternating them from each set of pages. So if the background is yellow, I'm putting a black pocket on, and if the background is black, I'm putting a yellow pocket on. But the process will remain the same as I work along. And remember to utilize both of those glues. Another really nice thing about adding that pocket page is that you're really bulking up this outside edge of the page to give it more sturdiness. So get that adhered. And I'm just going to continue to do that same process as I work along. It will have all the same measurements and the same steps. Okay, you can see now that I have all of my pages covered with the pockets included, and I did alternate those blacks and yellows as I was working along. And I also went ahead and included that back cover. So now we get to work on filling those pockets, and that is also going to definitely increase the bulkiness and thickness of this. So we have 3 different pockets, and so I decided to make 3 different size tags, or 2 size and then the printable. I wanted to utilize the offcuts as I was working along, so I just cut my cardstock to be 4.5 by 4.5, and then the pattern paper portion would be 4 3/8 by 4 3/8. However you combine and layer your patterns, and you don't have to do that if you want to just use one single sheet, but I was trying to get through those scraps, and so I decided to make layering patterns. Now the next thing you want to do is tuck that in to your pocket. There will be some additional room for other flat keepsakes or mementos, and you have another pocket here. For this one, I decided that I would utilize my 8 by 8 paper by cutting it into 4-inch portions. So that is the size of the pattern paper, and the cardstock is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and so that's just going to tuck into there. You can see that we're building some nice layers here. And then that last smaller corner slot, I decided to include that printable, and I just went ahead and cut that out. I left the back with nothing on it so that we could use this for journaling, and then that will tuck into there. So each of these pockets is going to get a combination of those 2 inserts along with the printable. Before I get started with the pattern paper, I'm just going to secure that ribbon temporarily and then cover that with my pattern paper. This is really the pattern that I think brings it all together, and this is a nice background for layering because it's kind of a compact pattern, and you will still appreciate the pattern when it is covered in layers. So I just got an additional piece of black cardstock with my pattern paper on top. This time I put it up on spacers so that I can build some dimension. Here's a pretty doily here to neutralize some of that busy background. And then here's my image from the printable. I cut that out, added it to 110-pound cardstock, and then an additional layer of that foam spacer. That's just gonna go right here on top of the doily. Have my finishing details, a coordinating flower with some netting, loopy twine bows, and more of that pretty bold check ribbon from Really Reasonable Ribbon. Adding that to anchor the bottom corner. Here is a bee charm. Just going to add it to that frame on the string. Top those cut ends with a vintage button. I brought down some stickles in the Stardust, and I just want to kind of highlight some of the areas on this printable for a little extra detail. I think that's pretty on the wings, a little bit in the flowers, and then maybe some on the banner shape. And then you guys know I like to add the sequins to balance the top corner. So I'll just place 3 there and adhere them with my Tombow. I'm just going to tie the bow that will secure all of those pages together and keep the tags in place. I like a generous size bow. And I'll just come in and clip off the excess trim, so I know it will be nice and even. And that is our folio today, created with the Honey and Bees printable from my shop and loads of papers from my stash. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know in the comments and give me a big thumbs up for this tutorial. You can find links to that die as well as the printable in the description below, as well as for links to all our socials. If you're not already, consider joining our channel. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.